Welcome, friends. Welcome to today's Reconsider It live stream. Best live stream you're gonna see all day. And here on this live stream, you are gonna get a very nice hour of some 505 looper beat making. Man, it's gonna be so good. I've already made the foundation of a beat here. I'm gonna be talking about how I did this with the looper buttons and features and things. Then I'm gonna keep building a beat. Oh, it's gonna be so good. I'm gonna keep talking about what I'm doing. You're gonna learn so much about loopers. But in the meanwhile, my friends, we are in a warm-up phase at this time. We are getting the blood flowing. And here in this blood-flowing warm-up phase, I need to celebrate. I need to celebrate you. Thank you for being here. Whether you are here live in the chat, or you are here live but you are not in the chat, or you are joining us after the stream on replay, thank you for being here. We want you here. I'm going to celebrate you at this time in this way. I have my drink. I'm going to count to 3. I'm going to clink the screen. At that time, you are invited to join the rest of us as we cheers along and celebrate our togetherfulness. And it all begins on 1. Whoa, the countdown has already begun. It's amazing. It's underway. 2. Oh my goodness, the buildup is real, and it is very exciting because it culminates all on 3. Clink. Cheers, my friends. Oh man, that is good. That's good. Please like this video. Whew. Friends, we have the foundation of a beat. And this is indeed a 505 beat making stream. And so the protocol is as follows. I'm going to begin by talking about how I made this beat that you're already hearing. We get into the details of the loopers here in the 505 beat making streams. These are really good if you're thinking about getting one of these loopers and you're wondering how it works. This is really good if you already have one of these loopers and you want to see how a different artist uses it. This is also really good if you just like music gear in general, or if you just like dope beats, or if you are very interested in my highly dynamic personality and performance. That's also a nice benefit of these streams. You get that as well. So we got this beat, and generally speaking, I think, well, not universally speaking, but generally speaking, when I start with a beat, I start with the kick drum like this. For the 505 details, this is built out of an EQ that has the low end turned down a little bit, just like one or two. And I've said that backwards. The low end is turned up a little bit. The high end is turned down a little bit. So an EQ, then it gets passed into a vocal distortion. Vocal distortion is what gives it that like graininess. But without any of it, I'm just going like, that's all I'm doing. I'm not doing some kind of a cappella really amazing performance. It's the looper that's making it sound good. Or sound like this anyway. The hi-hat shaker layer here. This one is the same EQ as the kick. I generally keep my multiple layers not always matching in every way, but have something they have in common, something shared. So they have the same EQ on them with the increased high end and the slightly reduced, I said it backward again, the increased low end and the slightly reduced high end. Same EQ on these. Same EQ on all the drums, actually. EQ also acts as an amplifier a little bit. There's a different effect called the preamp. It's not like an amp. It just makes more loud. EQ does. In any case, it has the same EQ. The hi-hats, it had the same EQ as the kick, but they have a reverb on the end of them instead of the same secondary effect. So that gave it a little bit of difference. You could hear that the hi-hats sound different. I should make them a little louder too, by the way. I'll reduce the kicks a little for now. The kicks were really loud when I first recorded this. When I first made this loop earlier, I don't know, before the stream started. By the way, I just took a peek at the screen. And I see right now in the chat, we got Emperor Kamikaze, a.k.a. Warheart. Emperor Kamikaze says that it's appropriate to match different layers with different sound textures, at least in some way. That's like a meal where you have the same salt goes on each, what does that say? Oh, entree. Wow, I never heard anybody say that. Is that a saying, or are you just like whipping up a thing? In any case, yeah, that is kind of nice. It is sort of like the textures of it. Sort of like your immediate perception of it, aside from more subtle things like, the pattern of the drum beat. Or the hi-hat and such. This hi-hat layer has not that many layers, but because it has some reverb on it, I'll just let you listen for a second. It's very slight. Usually I make my hi-hats follow the kicks rhythmically as well. This has a few different layers in it. It's got a layer of me just doing like tss, 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 and a layer of me going like and because you can just overdub and put multiple layers and layers. Usually I do about 4 or 5. That's I think roughly what this one is. Then there's that. I see that Doommonger has joined us, which is good. So these like clap snare things, this layer, that thing. I'm not, again, a cappella, I'm not doing anything special. I'm just going like, but is this one layered? I don't think this one's, maybe layered a little bit. I don't always layer the snares or claps. Sometimes I do. I probably do. This one is a EQ and the same vocal distortion. So it totally matches the kick in this case. The clap and the kick. So that's the drums. You now know the secrets of how I made my drums. Oh, yeah, and I selected this. Not selected, I made this palette of sound effects and instruments and things. And I kind of just randomly picked it before the stream started and slapped this together. And in this palette, I'm putting an output effect on the drum here. That's a tape echo. And it might not be obvious visually in the camera, but I'm just moving this dial here that's turning it up and down. That's one of the dynamic things that you can do on these loopers, is they have these output effects, and I can do one of my favorites. That thing? Oh, that's the best. So we also got the bass then. And my regulars know that of my 2 loopers, these are 2 different models. We have the first model, the Mark 1, on the bottom, and the second model, the Mark 2, on the top. My bottom Mark 2 here I use it only for percussion or things that don't require tuning, like matching into a key. By the way, for my musician friends who like to jam along, this one is tuned to the key of A. Let me mute these drums. The key of A flat major. They're always major on these things. Beats per minute is 142.3. So anyway, anything that requires tuning, like matching the key of A flat, as this one is, that's all on my top looper, because the top looper has a feature that it will auto-tune it to a certain key, or maybe lock it in. Maybe that's a better description of what it does. So if I sing something like this bass line here, listen to this bass line. It's this sustained note. I don't even know what note that is. Something in the key of A flat. But this is just me going like, ooh, or something similar to that. There's no like awesome bass singing that I'm doing. It's the looper that makes it sound so bassy and deep and such. And so I'm going to talk now about what I did with the looper in order to make it sound like that. Here's what I did. start with a guitar to bass. That's the name of that one. My regulars know I always make my bass out of that one. So it's just a sound effect that, like it sounds, guitar to bass. If you were to plug in a guitar and play it, the sound effects would, drop its octave and whatever else and make it sound like a bass. Guitar to bass. So I use it for just singing like, whatever my horrible singing is. But it will snap it into whatever note I'm like right at, or sometimes a little off of. It'll just keep it snapped into some note. And guitar to bass is the deal. And then pass it into electric. That's the tuner that snaps it into the note. Then after that, this one I went into a sustainer, which is more of a loudness than a volume. So it brings a little more loudness into the bass. And then after all that, it's passed into a reverb, and I believe that's... It doesn't sound like I had too much reverb on this. Let's see after it ends. No, there's reverb on that. Okay. Yeah, so that's how I built this bass. Guitar to bass, electric, the tuner, sustainer, the loudness, and then a reverb. And then there was this. That additional layer here. And this is really great, but nothing at all, nothing you're hearing right now tops the fact that corny has arrived. Also with us now we have we are saved. How did I build this other layer that I already made before the stream began, part of this foundation, before I start building new layers? How did I add this one? My regulars know how I do this stuff up top here. My bass is generally in the center and represents center panning, and then I have left and right layers that are left and right panned, which, by the way, per the top right corner of the screen right now, this is best with headphones on, as an FYI. You know what I should do? There's a number of things that I say every stream, or I try to say every stream if I succeed in recalling them, in order to orient you toward understand, oh yeah, I should get a pair of headphones if you didn't know that. There are a number of things that I do to just be like, here's what's happening, just so you know what's going on, and orienting you toward having a fulfilling experience and expansive my point is I should maybe write those down and put a piece of paper over here or something and be like, all right, the things are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. By the way, as we do this stream, it is mid 2025. Were you in the loop on that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 thing? What was that, like a year ago? I don't know when that was. But there was that thing that was, what was it? I guess it started on TikTok, but I saw it on Instagram and I guess probably other places too. But people do this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 rhythm where they drop out the numbers one by one. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and so on. I didn't even do it there. That's the first time I ever tried to do that. Anyway, that's cool. And there were some really creative expressions of that. Sometimes I bring up a guy on Instagram I like named Lenstrumental. He does the like pen tapping on the table, a hard, like, I don't know what it is. I guess I assumed it was wood, but I don't know what it is. Just a tabletop, like you'd have in a school, grade school desk. And he has pens, and he's tapping the thing. I'm not gonna press it. You know, I'm not gonna tap hard on this. But he's tapping on the table and doing like elbow bumps and stuff. He has some pretty dope content. But I remember his expression of that. I don't know if he did just one. He might have done multiple. But he adds all sorts of like complicated rhythms and like, what has he got? 4 or 5 layers of rhythms going on at any given time. It's really dope. Instrumental. And there's another guy who I'm still seeing to this day. This is kind of why I brought it up. I mean, maybe not today, literally, but roughly now-ish in the timeline of all of, I don't know, the past 5 years. There's a guy who I'm still seeing doing those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 challenges. His followers just keep submitting like, do this combination. He's a DJ, and he just like, he has a record that is just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and he generally pairs it, you know, with whatever beat he's gonna do and whatever he does. But he does these really dope challenges. Somebody will submit like, how about 2, 2, 5, 3, 7, 1, 1, 8, 1, 4, and he's just like, he does it. He's like 8, 1, 1, 4, 4, 4, 8. And he does the whole. It's so awesome. They're very, very good, and I really wish I could tell you his name. That would be a very helpful thing. I'm actually going to open up a browser here. Let me bring in some more very entertaining drums for you. I want to see if I can recommend him, because I just really talked him up, and he's dope. I follow him on YouTube too. That's what I just looked up here. So you can find him on YouTube if you prefer, or Instagram. At least, I mean, maybe he's got more too. But his name is DJ Skills with 1 L and a Z. So I'm just gonna spell the whole thing. SKILZ. DJ Skills, the Scratch Enforcer. Dope. Almost every time I see one of his videos, I'm just like, oh my, this guy's like single-handedly keeping the art of scratching alive. He's so good. Still getting caught up on the chat. And I see Emperor Kamikaze has a comment that I'm going to pin to the screen. Now that is pretty nice description. I'm also still getting caught up on the chat here. And Cornish says, if you're panning, because I was talking about panning earlier, if you're panning, then you should enter the Hardware Jam Challenge. Oh, is it about panning? I always pan. Like every channel is differently panned in like very unexpected and non-uniform ways. If it's on, I guess I'll look. I didn't look at the weekend challenge. Thanks for telling me. still getting caught up on the chat. I see we have five. Wow. And yet, my friends, we are still at the point where I need to describe how I do these two layers. The reason I brought up the panning earlier, bass is in the center. My regulars know that I do this panning thing. Visually, it like kind of helps me keep track of all this as well. It's helpful. It's a tool for organizing your Johns. So I have these two layers that flank either side of the bass. And generally speaking, I use the same instrument, the same stack of input effects. I use the same instrument for both of those layers. And so the instrument in this case, I built like the following. This one is built out of a distortion, vocal distortion. So I guess I should say there are times where I make the upper and bottom looper match in terms of textures like that, but that's not as extensive as, you know, intra looper. The interlooper coordination is less strict as compared to the interlooper coordination. And that's, I don't know, I think you can make an argument that the two of them should be synchronized more. Anyway, this layer here, it's built out of vocal distortion. And inside the vocal distortion, one of the enhancements going from the Mark I up to the Mark II, one of the enhancements is that it has this subtype of vocal distortion. There's like, I don't know how many, 4 or 5 at least. Well, maybe not at least, probably just 4 or 5. Different types of vocal distortion. Some of them sound like this one, where it's like, you could pretty clearly hear, here, I'm gonna stop talking and let it loop. It's pretty clearly my voice. You can hear it most clearly at the beginning. Like, that's a human voice at the very beginning. So this one's a little bit more raw and direct in how the it processes and, you know, distorts the vocals. It doesn't distort it a lot, is what I'm trying to say. It is more of, indeed, a boost. As I said, this one was tuned to. Others make it more like, you know, if I bring in the kicks again, more of what you might expect of a distortion. These are clearly like heavily distorted, these kicks, and the clap, that stuff. Those are more heavily, obviously, ostensibly distorted as compared to this, which you might not have guessed distortion. That's why I'm doing this breakdown video, again, for you if you're using a 505, trying to recreate some of what I'm doing. It's the distortion, but the boost type within it. And then you play around with whatever minor details from there. That I then, in this case, passed into the electric, which is the tuner. And again, this one that we're listening to is an A flat major. It's always major. If I don't add that at the end, it's always major on these machines. Distortion, boost type, fed into an electric. Then it's fed into a vibrato. I learned some stream within the past week or so. I heard that clarification, which I was happy about. But you could hear that it does have like a wavy feeling to it. That's what the vibrato does. I should use this more. This came out really nice. This has like a really warm And then I was adding in earlier also some output effects on the top looper, which those I do generally match. The output effects do typically match interlooper. So this has the same tape echo. Earlier I was showing you how the tape echo on the drums, you can hear all that echo coming in. And I was like, well, that's called the tape echo. And then I just moved on fast from there. But the same thing up here, I have a tape echo applied. You can hear it affecting it. So a distortion of the type boost fed into the electric, which is the tuner, the vibrato, and then the gate reverb. Gate reverb is what it sounds like. It's another reverb, but it has this. Here, let me show you. I mean, I'm gonna go off the vocal mic and I'm gonna go onto this top looper and do this effect a little bit, but play with the gate reverb. So there's that. So this is a nice base or foundation for the beat. There's a lot of chat for me to get caught up on. Sounds like Viral is going to be doing some cool stuff later, where he's going to go to a skate park, and there's going to be reverb because of the shape of the walls or whatever the layout is there in the skate park. He's going to be able to take advantage of some reverb happening there and doing some recording with a mini freak. There's a pool also. I assume an in-ground pool. Dope. That sounds nice. Viral, is that going to be a stream, or is it just something you record and then load after you are done recording and transfer it and such? Friends, the time has come to keep building up this beat. You know everything about how I built up all of the existing foundation of the beat. It's got a nice resonance I like here in the upper looper, in these harmonic layers here. It worked really well here with the sustained notes. Not all of my instruments. The top looper lets you make 4 instruments in a given palette. I got the bass, I got this like harmonic resonant thing, that's 2 instruments, but now I got 2 more instruments and I also got 2 more layers. So let's go to the next instrument and add another layer. And what is it going to be? How about this one? This one that we're going to do right now, this is built out of this one you have not heard yet on this stream anyway. This one is built out of a distortion. What kind of distortion? This one is a different type of distortion. This one is a vocal distortion that we're going to be doing right now, and you haven't heard yet on this stream. A vocal distortion fed into the electric, which is the tuner, fed into an auto harmonizer. Ooh, I like these. I might play with that a little bit. Auto harmonizer, and I have it set to unison. You could also set it to like an octave above or 2 octaves above or an octave below, and it does an auto harmonic layer of whatever you do. So it's a pretty dope feature actually, whether you're doing raw vocals into the mic like I am, or if you're playing guitar or whatever you're doing. This auto harmon auto-harmonizing, auto-harmonic layer. So I'll play with that. Sometimes you have to like, this is one that's sensitive to being like the right amount of it being applied. Not all effects are like that. If you're doing like a reverb or something, you can be vaguely in the range of something that sounds good and it sounds good. Other effects, it's like you have to get really precise with it. Be like, okay, this amount. And auto harmonizer is a little more of the latter. You have to really get this. So I'm going to fiddle with it was what I'm saying, based on what I've built here. I don't always use all the instruments in the same ways every time I use them, every time I use a palette of instruments. In any case, we got this distortion, vocal type, fed into electric, fed into auto harmonizer, and then finally it's fed into a chorus, which also has like a doubling effect. I usually don't use a lot of chorus. It's easy to use too much chorus. So I'm probably going to dial that one down a bit. And in fact, let me just start at the bottom there and see how that goes. All right, that's it, my friends. The time has come to actually use this. So we got a new instrument that we're going to be adding into the beat here. I'm going to bring everything else in. I'm going to go off the vocal mic. Let's see if there's anything I need to get caught up on in the chat before I go off the vocal mic. Viral says, following up on what I asked him earlier, that his performance or recording he's going to do in the skate park and the pool, he wouldn't be able to get a signal there to do a stream, to do a live stream. So it is going to be recorded, and then just we'll get videos later rather than a stream. Hopefully there'll be premieres though, so that there's like a opportunity for an interactive element. Cornish asked a question about the slicer. He says, hey man, on the 505, what do you think of the slicer? The answer is, I use it all the time, and I think I personally like it so much that I find it easy to overdo it. So I have to kind of go out of my way to not use the slicer. But for example, you ask a good question at a good time, because, you know, these are fully sustained notes. And by the way, the loops are of different lengths. If you look at the top looper here, there's this like circle that goes around of the red lights. It's sort of like a countdown almost. You may notice they happen at different lengths of time. So the bass is twice as long as these other ones. By doing loops of different lengths, that enables me to, you know, that has a songwriting implication. When for example, when I do my loops and chill streams, and I do not only improvising beats, like what I'm doing with you right now is improvising a beat, but I'm letting it sit here and hang. Like, for how long has this been looping on this? You know, it's been going on for like many long period of time. 42 minutes we're at. That's not what my loops and chill streams are. Loops and chill is more like I'm also making it into a song you might want to listen to again later, with a beginning, middle, and end. It's got dynamics, you know, it's got interesting like memory patterns in it. So I'm improvising a song. And the reason I bring all of this up is I told you that my loops are of different lengths. That has implications for the songwriting element, how you arrange things, when you turn things on and off, when a loop is available to bring back in. Sometimes, like when I first started using these loopers, I would have an intuition that I would want to just like bring in a layer when I want, even at unusual ways. But then I quickly learned that it's like, oh wait, no, this layer, like this one actually that I'm over here on the right, this one, yeah, 16. This one is even twice as long as the bass. And so I can't just bring this one in, you know, sooner than I want. I have to wait till everything else goes through all its cycles and it finishes its full cycle on mute. I usually just put things on mute, as you see I've done in my drums. So anyway, length of loop, that is a thing to be creative with as well. If you're going to be experimenting with any of these settings. Whew. So we got this new layer. We got this new instrument that I'm gonna make something out of. Oh wait, no, I didn't answer Cornish's question about the slicer. I was gonna do it. So that was a long. Okay, let's get back to the story here. So to answer Cornish's question, there's multiple slicers. There's the tremolo, which I brought in right now. The tremolo can be turned up pretty heavy and be basically a slicer. So there you go. But this is not a slicer, this is a tremolo. And you can control the different, whatever you want with the, like, what is this? It's currently set to an eighth note, but I can. It's getting slower. Quarter note, dotted eighth note, quarter note triplet, back to the eighth note that it was earlier. Then I can go faster, of course. So you can do, I think this is a 32nd note. It's pretty nice. That's as high as it goes, though. Or I can do it by milliseconds, and that's just the tremolo. And I can control different layers. Like if you listen carefully, I'll stop talking for a second. If you listen carefully, you can hear that the bass is not slicing now. So you can selectively apply your output effects or input effects to different layers in whatever, I guess in whatever binary way you want. They either are or not having output effects applied to them. You also, how about this? Here's one limitation. And I've never had a problem with this limitation, but it's very easy to understand how somebody might want to do more than what this limitation enables them. And in fact, this device, the top looper here, is highly programmable. So it's possible that what I'm about to describe, it can be done, and I just don't know. That's totally plausible. But the thing that is the limitation I'm saying is that you can only apply one output effect at a time. Or how about this? One configuration of output effects. Because right now I've got tremolo on, and I can also throw on this tape echo. And now I can dynamically control that tape echo, or I could make this into a slicer. Because what I was trying to get up to earlier, Cornish, was that there are multiple slicers. Let's see there you go. So here you go. I have on what's called a step slicer right now. And it's similar to what the tremolo was. You can control it and what you would expect. You can also, you know what's really nice about the slicer? I haven't done this in a while because I haven't had the need to reconfigure a new palette in a while. But one thing that's really nice when I do apply a slicer into one of my palettes is that I will generally go into, you can control for each individual slice what its volume level is. So you can take a default of like, on, off, on, off, on, off, on, off with like a full, I don't know, I think I'd have to double check if it's like a full off by default. But you can control the different levels of like how much levels there are per slice. So I like to put little interesting patterns in the slicer of like not just a binary on, off, on, off, on, off, but like, I don't know how to describe it vocally, but maybe like high and then pretty low and then lower and then really high again on the fourth one, and then stuff like that, like really control what each individual slice does. So it's pretty dope, and I do like to get into it. If you are looking for a robust slicer in that way, this one might have at least some standing in your consideration. In any case, I was also going to say how I can play other output effects at a time. This is one of my favorites, a low-pass filter. scratch. The vinyl flick. That's where I can also do it down here too. That's so dope. That's so dope. And yet, weren't we going to get into doing the new layer with the new instrument? I keep having so much fun with you. I see there's more chats for me to get caught up on. Let me get caught up here. I see also that Jason has joined us. So Cornish says he had instead of the 505, the same company, the same model also makes a 202, which is a 2-layer looper. And it's got, I think it has 4 effects. It doesn't have the full range of effects that these other loopers have, but it has, it looked like enough to get some good stuff with it. So Cornish says, I used to have a 202, and a few years ago, I regret selling that. So are you going to get a 505? Is that like what this builds up to? Are we going to start getting Cornish with a 505? Oh, man. Oh, man. Or do you already have a 505? I can't keep... I don't... When people have their, like, gear set up, my eyes just glaze over. I lose track of it all. And I don't know most of it. Sometimes I do go looking to see who has a 505. I know that... Jonathan R. Cross has a 505. And I know, what's his name? Stu... Dang. There's another guy who uses a 505 pretty nicely. And he has one of those instruments. Is it the... No, I don't know what it's called. But it sounds like strings. It's a really nice instrument. And he uses it with the 505. I follow him. He doesn't put out a lot of content as much these days. He put out something like a month ago. Still getting caught up on the chat. Cornish says, regarding the two 505s, is the new one far superior? Oh, you asked the right guy. The answer is way by far. The top looper, the Mark II, is like, it's not just like, oh, look at the new generation looper. It's got some cool new features. That's not what it is. It's like we leapt 5 generations and there's all sorts of like new dimensions of cool new features. So yes, it can do everything the bottom looper can do. The Mark II can do everything the Mark I can do. It's got, I don't even know where to begin with how much more features it has. It even has new hardware where you can have more input coming in. They made this, I guess I'm speculating here, but I wonder if Boss, who makes this looper, they put 2 microphone inputs, whereas the bottom one, this only has 1 mic input, but they put 2 mic inputs. I wonder if they did that for having like collaborative beatboxers, because I remember when this first came out, there was some like, I don't know if they were Boss promotional videos, but they were the, like those big, I always talk about the Swiss beatbox competition circuit. Man, they do such amazing stuff a cappella. Anyway, some of those like the 5 to 10 guys that you always see in rotation, they were doing videos of them where they get like 2 of them both grabbing a mic and beatboxing in the same looper. But you could also have somebody plugging in a guitar, or 2 guitars could be plugged in, or a guitar and a keyboard or something. Just 2 what are these 1/4 inch stereo 1/4 inch jacks. I'm still getting caught up on the chat, and I see Jason is adding. just learned them yesterday. The 505s? Just learned them yesterday. Having saw the control of the audio can be very helpful in a mix. Also, just to make sure we're clear on things, I have an assertion that happens to coincide with the man himself. This world needs a hero. Also, you can phantom power either mic source. Says Jason. Viral has the next chat to be pinned of the day. Viral has done it. All right, there it is. Emperor Kamikaze had the previous one. Emperor Kamikaze will forever have the first pinned chat of this stream. This world needs a hero says, I wouldn't mind picking up a 505. You use it well. That's part of one of my goals with these streams, because I'm doing these 505 beatmaking streams. I'm doing them specifically because I have heard the request for it. In the chat, even in comments, and even in like Discord and such. I've heard, by the way, friend me on Discord, join my Discord. We do music stuff and a lot of other things that you can peruse at your own personal discretion. But my goal with the 505 beatmaking streams is to meet that demand. So for everyone who has asked me previously or just had it on your mind and you didn't say anything to me about it regarding like wanting to know how these 505s work, how am I doing what I'm doing, and I even go a little further than that because you heard on this particular stream that I talk about also like my songwriting thoughts and also, you know, how I lay out the hardware because of how I pan things and my strategy with how I go about doing things like layering on top of the bass. Like I do more than just the 505 details, but nonetheless, if that is something you're wanting or needing, my aspiration here is to give you a sense that these are very straightforward to use, even though there are a lot of options. On day one, if you're like, I have never dealt with a 505 before, let's start with the Mark II. What is anything? Like, it would be, it's very overwhelming at the start. And my goal with these streams, and I continue to do them, and I continue to invite you to tell me what you want to know or see. My goal is to give you your sense that this is very manageable, it's very navigable, and as I describe the things that I do, you have a sense of like, oh, you know, I would probably, and you get that sort of inspiration. And I mean to fan that flame. I mean to cultivate and empower your sense that if you're interested, that it's doable and you can make some cool stuff. That's why I talk about how, like, I don't really do some awesome beatboxing like those Swiss beatboxing competition people. I do beatboxing. It's just like, you know, it's like guy on the corner beatboxing. But the loopers are what make it sound like it has all these sound effects and all of this. Anyway, if you do feel that I use the 505s well, and you're thinking like, man, I think I might be interested in this, you should feel empowered with that. A couple streams ago, we were talking about how, like, if you do feel like that, and you're like, man, this 505 looks so cool, like, there seems to be so much awesome stuff, and look how Recon is doing this and that, and if you feel like that, we were talking a couple streams ago about how, like, the only thing that should stand in your way is if you have any kind of like you would need to save up for it in a budgetary sense. If it would be straightforward in a budgetary sense, and you're like, oh yeah, that's no problem. I think they're like $700 US dollars, that is. Don't quote me on that. There's something close to that. So if you hear that and you're like, oh yeah, $700, that's, I'm barely gonna notice that. If that's how you feel about that price, then the answer is, oh, I totally get it. Like, nothing should stop you. And as I continue to share with you how I build my beats, you can even have some, little inspiration and ideas, and you can tell me what you need. If, on the other hand, you hear the price and you go, what? That, oh man, I don't have, then don't, I mean, this is definitely not something to like prioritize. For me, it's my primary expression. If your primary expression is like a whole rack of gear, then like just wait until you can afford it. Save, have a little tin can that you can only put into and you can't take out of, and just keep putting money into it and check it after, I don't know, however long. It's been however many months to years. You're like, oh, this would be enough. One of the nice things about the Mark II, the top one, is that, speaking only for myself, of course, I don't really need other gear. I don't need to get like a reverb pedal. There's so much reverb that I can use in here, both going in and going out. It's just part of the device. Or anything else, a slicer. I can have 4 slicers in and 4 slicers out. So there's so much potency in this device. And as my primary tool, my primary instrument, my primary live instrument that is something other than my vocal cords, my primary non-organic instrument, the looper being my primary non-organic instrument, to me, it's totally worth having spent the price. It's my primary mode. Otherwise, just wait until it's easy to get and get it, and then you're gonna have an awesome time then. Cornish says, when I think about getting a looper for my setup, I probably would use it in a somewhat minimal way. So I think what I might do instead is look for a minimally used 202. I was thinking about getting a 202 myself and throwing it into the mix of stuff. But I'm actually at this time thinking about getting another Mark II. So at some point in the next, I don't know, year? I'm not sure exactly. You might see that I have 2 Mark IIs. Instead of having a Mark I and a Mark II, you might see that I have 2 Mark IIs. Because my Mark I is pretty much breaking. In fact, it got even worse today. When I was getting ready to start the stream. And by the way, I still haven't added the other instrument. Dang. Can I count on anyone in the chat? I don't know if I can ask this of you. I think this is asking a lot. But I want to add the next instrument here. And as I look at the chat, I see that Tommy is here, which is really awesome. If I can count on someone in the chat to remind me of like the way that my Mark I broke even worse today, I can do that. But I want to add the other layer because I told you, like, what time is it now? It's a little after an hour. It's an hour and 5 minutes. It was like 20 minutes ago that we were gonna use the new instrument to make the new layers. Let's do that now. And if I can count on someone in the chat, question mark. I don't know if I can ask this of you. This is a big ask. This is a really like a kind of a gargantuan, unfair, like, how dare you type of request. But my request is to just remind me to tell you about how my Mark I broke even worse today. That would be a definitely good thing. I see right now also Mango has joined us. Great timing, because we are about to add the next layer into this. Wow, as I still am looking at the chat, I see that Jason says my mic and headphones alone cost almost as much as the loop station. The gear adds up. Gear absolutely adds up 100%. You may notice I have very, very minimal gear. I have my 2 loopers, and I have this very beautiful Hydrosynth. And once again, shout out to the man Viral. Viral sold this to me because he got it as a gift and it was unused, and he already had another device. I don't remember what it was, but there was another synth that he's like, okay, these are both very closely comparable, and he decided to go with whatever the other one was, and then he sold this one to me. So that's this one and the 2 loopers. Off camera you don't see it, but I've also got a mixer, because you do need a mixer, by the way. Sometimes people ask me, how do the 2 loopers, like how do you get audio out of both loopers? And the answer is you don't. You have to put them in a mixer. They don't have some kind of like special proprietary connection that these loopers exclusively, exclusive technology. There's nothing like that. You just have to put them in a mixer. People, surprisingly though, have never asked me, I don't think anyone's ever asked me, how do you use only one mic to go into both loopers? Maybe that one's more obvious. I just have a splitter, which is also, you don't see it, but it's under the looper over here. It's just, tucked under. It's under the table actually down here, which also you can't see. Anyway, I'm gonna go add this new layer. Let's see what this new instrument sounds like. Once again, this is built out of a distortion, which is the vocal type. So distortion fed into the electric, which is the tuner, tuning it to the A flat. Then it's passed into an auto harmonizer. I have it set to a unison in this case. And then it's passed into the chorus, which usually I only use lightly. The chorus being kind of like a doubling. Sometimes it can get kind of dissonant, so I usually minimize that. Let's bring it in, my friends. So that one, once again, and I'm going to turn it back on. I'm going to bring that later back in, rather. I'm going to turn the volume back up. That one, once again, that one is built out of a distortion, a vocal type, then fed into the electric, then fed into the auto harmonizer, fed into a chorus. And I was playing with the chorus dynamically live. Let's listen here. In some parts, you can clearly hear it's my voice. I'm just going like, that's all I'm doing. This loop is twice as long as the bass. You know what I should do? Here, I should do some kind of like, fractal comparison. Here you go. Twice as long as the bass. I bring in the bass. This could play 2 times. But the bass itself is twice as long as these layers, including the clap that I just brought in. And all of those are twice as long as the kicks and the hi-hats. So there is this like hierarchy of how long the loops are. And you can see that reflected in the top looper with the light going around at different speeds. I think this one came out pretty nice, actually. Distortion, electric, auto harmonizer, chorus. I see there's some spicy chat going on. I like that. I see also that me has joined the chat, which is really good. That is a strong enhancement. Warheart is now with us in more formal manner. So this is good. We have this nice resonating beat. You're getting a lot of insights about the loopers and also some more regarding how I personally lay them out. Like, one of the things I never wound up getting to say earlier, even though I was kind of building up to it, but I just went off in different directions. I never fully finished this thought previously on the stream today, is that for these layers here, I was telling you how these 2 layers, this one and this one, how these 2 layers I generally make out of the same instrument, and they, in the panning, they flank the bass. Like if you have your good headphones on right now, you can hear one of them is clearly way more on the left. This one in particular. This one's way more on the left. Maybe not way more. How much? 18 to the left, which is really double that. So this is 36% to the left. Whereas this one is what? This one's only 15. So that means it's 30% to the left. And that's represented here on my looper in the sense that they're close to the bass. They're not like really far to the left and right. However, this new one that I just recorded, which is twice as long as even the bass, this layer here, it's far to the right physically on the looper, and it's also farthest to the right in the panning. It's right 33, which means 66% to the right. So this is good. This is good. You're getting all these insights about all these things. You're feeling confident about your own capacity to use a 505 and do cool stuff with it, and all the interesting things you might come up with and ways that you would make good happen, which would be cool. And it'd be most cool if you made good happen and then you shared it so that we could also say, whoa, look at the good you made happen. And you'll be like, I made good happen. And you'll feel pretty good about yourself. And it'll be good. Good. We got one more instrument, my friends. And one more loop to use, to occupy. this one here. This one, based on reading this, my expectation is that this one's going to be kind of loud. And there's two reasons I say that. I'll describe how it's being built. Warheart has been awarded the next chat to be pinned on the stream. In a very articulate manner, Warheart hereby solemnly swears his oath to improve the world in every way that he is capable of doing so. We have one more. Here's how this one's built. This next instrument that you have not yet heard on this stream. Here's how this one's built. It's built out of a synth, and my regulars know that I describe the synth. I use it the way that you might use a horn, like a trumpet or some other kind of brass. Synth, that's what this next instrument is going to be built out of. Usually I don't use those for much of a, like, intricate melody. Those are more like bursts. And maybe I hit, like, very obviously different far apart notes in the bursts or something. A synth passed into the electric for auto-tuning it, or snap-tuning it. Maybe snap-tuning it is a better way to put that. And then that's passed into an oscillator bot. The oscillator bot is the other part that can be really loud. So I'm gonna have to see how this instrument sounds. I'll play around with it a little bit. We'll see if I can get it in a range that matches the rest of this beat. And then after that, after the oscillator bot, this one is then passed into a tremolo. And that's all synchronized with all the other effects that have some kind of period on them, some kind of periodicity. So that is the next instrument, my friends. I'm going to go off the vocal mic, and I'm going to go start using that instrument here and add a new layer. Let's do it. So this is it. This is the new layer that is built out of the synth fed into the electric, which is the auto tuner, or the snap tuner, I'm saying. Then it's fed into the oscillator bot. You may have heard me playing around with that aspect of this. You can hear like an edgy, sort of like monotone chopness in this. And then there's a tremolo on top of that, which is a very full, almost slicing. It's a little softer than slicing. So now we got that new layer. We got the whole beat. We got some output effects going on. There's some chat for me to get caught up on here. Warheart has some contributions. Warheart says, does each channel have individual output to a multi-track record? Or maybe you mean a multi-track record, like a recorder of some kind. The answer is no. All of the channels go through a single stereo. All of the channels go to a stereo output. But it's one output for the whole looper. I think there might technically be, yeah, there's also a phones. So I guess maybe if you want a, let me see what size this is, hold on. It's a 1/4-inch jack, so what you'd expect of a phones. So it does have a. Oh, I guess I'm lying to you this whole time. What's with me doing this? It is still the case, as I said earlier, that all the channels go through a single output, expression, I guess. But there are multiple output jacks. So there is the stereo 1/4-inch, which is what I use, and I would recommend you use at least. But there is the phones single 1/4-inch stereo jack, and then there's also whatever these are, some additional ones I don't even use. Warheart sharing some more thoughts. Friends, this has been really an outstanding 505 stream. .505 beat making stream. You got so much content here in terms of all of the input effects and things, and how am I doing this, and I shared some more thoughts about how I strategize the songwriting and the lengths of the loops and things like that. And I'm happy to say that we had a little bit of dynamic Q&A where you let me know some of what you needed or curious about. I encourage you to keep doing that here on the 505 Beatmaking streams. And I hope to see you again on the next stream. Every time we do live streams, we do one of these. Today we're in the upper right. We did the 505 Beatmaking, where we just really draw out the process of making a beat, and I talk to you about the loopers and all of this. That's the upper right, but there's all these other ones as well. In the upper left, we got loops and chill. I was talking about that earlier in the stream. Loops and chill is where I improvise the beat, but we don't linger on it for an hour and a half like today. But rather, I just make the beat on the fly and keep it to only 5 or 6 minutes or so that it's like a nice little song with dynamics and a little story being told. That's loops and chill in the upper left. Bottom left, we got unspoken. That's where we do just improvisation for an hour or 2 hours or something. And I bring in the hydrosynth, but no talking at all in unspoken. I do get in the chat, but no verbal. It's just purely the music. I've heard a lot of feedback that those lower left, the unspoken, is good for having on while you're doing stuff. And in the lower right, of course, we got tinkering in the studio. Tinkering in the studio is like unspoken, bring in the hydrosynth, but it's also a lot of talking too. Today there was a lot of talking, but it was primarily about the loopers. In the tinkering in the studio, we talk about anything. That's just like the maddest hangout of all, the tinkering in the studio. Whichever flavor of live stream you join us for next time, I am looking forward to seeing you then. And until then, please have a very excellent rest of your day. Please have a very enlightening and uplifting rest of your day today. Please let the rest of your day today bring you to new levels of healing. Transformative healing that exceeds all expectation. Transformative, unprecedented healing that defies all doubts. Please experience the depth of all that is possible for you today. And I will see you in the next Reconsider It live stream.